Okay, let's be honest. Haven't you ever wondered how much YouTubers really make? I'm not talking about the megastars, but someone who's just starting to get some real traction. Well, today we're going to skip all the clickbait and get straight to the actual numbers from a creator who literally opened up his books for us after his first year on the platform. So yeah, let's just dive right in.
So let's just ask the big question right up front, the one everybody wants to know. If you have 20,000 subscribers, what does a paycheck from YouTube actually look like for 1 month? No more guessing, let's just look at the data.
There it is, $1,200. Now, depending on where you are in the world, that could be a pretty nice side hustle, or it could even be a full-time income. But honestly, that number, it only tells part of the story.
And the really important thing here is that this isn't some guess or an estimate. Nope, this is the actual income from a real creator with 20,000 subs who decided on his 1-year anniversary on YouTube to just share everything. And how he got to this number is just as interesting as the number itself.
Right, so this $1,200 didn't just appear out of thin air. It was actually the peak of this long, slow climb that all of a sudden just started to take off like a rocket. Let's take a look at how that journey actually unfolded.
What's so wild is the momentum. I mean, look at this. You see the slow start way back in July, just $150. Then it starts picking up steam a little more in September, then it more than doubles by October, and then, bam! It almost doubles again to hit that $1,200 mark in December. It's a perfect example of how channel growth isn't a straight line.
But what did it take to get that huge jump? I mean, what was the secret? It was pure hustle. The guy published 20 videos in that 1 month. 20! That is a ton of work, and it just goes to show you, this is not passive income. It's directly tied to how much effort you're willing to put in.
You know, the creator himself had this perfect way of describing it. It really is like learning to ride a bike. That initial struggle, where you're wobbling all over the place, it feels impossible. But once you find your balance, once the platform sees you're for real, that momentum just starts to build all by itself.
So you might be asking yourself, how is this kind of growth even possible for just a regular person? Well, it all comes down to YouTube's unique business model, something this creator actually calls a creator's paradise. Let's break down what makes it so special.
See, on a lot of other platforms, creators get basically nothing from the platform itself. You have to go out and find your own sponsors, do your own deals, which the creator here jokingly calls generating power with love. But YouTube, it's totally different. It has a system built right in to pay you directly from ad money. You just have to focus on making good stuff. And this is how that split works. For all the ads that run on your videos, YouTube gives you, the creator, the majority. You get 55%. The platform takes the other 45%. It's a true partnership, you know? When you do well, they do well.
So, why can YouTube afford to be so generous with creators? Well, the secret's pretty simple. They're part of Google, so they have a practically endless supply of companies wanting to run ads. What they're really looking for, what they're desperate for, is great content to put those ads on. That means their whole system is designed to find and reward people who make engaging videos consistently.
Okay, so we know the money is coming from ads, but how is it all calculated? It's not as simple as just getting a bunch of views. The real key is understanding this metric called RPM, because that's what decides how much those views are actually worth. So RPM, it stands for revenue per mil, which is just a fancy way of saying revenue per thousand. This is the number that really, really matters. It tells you exactly how much money lands in your pocket for every 1,000 views. And this is after YouTube has already taken its 45% cut.
For this channel in particular, which is all about AI tutorials, the average RPM is $4.23. So what does that mean? It means for every 1,000 views he gets, he earns about $4.23. A video with 100,000 views? That's about $423. Not bad at all, right? But, and this is super important, not all views are created equal. Your RPM can swing wildly based on two big things. First, your topic. Finance and crypto channels have crazy high RPMs because advertisers pay big bucks to reach that audience. And second is your audience's location. Viewers in places like the US and Europe just generate way more ad money. To make things a little easier, the creator shares this awesome little rule of thumb he came up with. For most channels, you can kind of estimate that 10,000 views will earn you somewhere around $35 to $40 US. It's a really handy shortcut if you just want to do a quick calculation in your head.
All right, so if you're feeling a little inspired and maybe thinking about starting your own channel, let's get into what it actually takes. What do you have to do to get into the YouTube Partner Program and start making money?
There are basically two big hurdles you've got to clear.
First, you need to build up a community of at least 1,000 subscribers. And second, people need to have watched your videos for a total of 3,000 hours in the last year. That's your ticket into the club.
But here's where the reality check comes in. Hitting those numbers is not easy. For this creator, it took a full 7 months of consistent work. We're talking uploading videos, trying out different ideas, slowly building that audience before he finally qualified. So yeah, patience is definitely the name of the game.
So, after that whole first year, what were his biggest takeaways? Well, he boils it down to these key lessons. 1. Don't waste money on fancy gear at the beginning. 2. Experiment like crazy to see what your audience actually likes. 3. Listen to your data. Let the viewers tell you what to make. And, maybe most importantly, be patient through that initial phase when it feels like YouTube is just observing you. And that pretty much brings us to the end of this deep dive. We've seen the real numbers, we've seen the hard work, and we've seen the formula. It really just leaves us with one final thought, and this one's for you. Knowing everything you know now, if you were to start a channel today, what would it be about? What's the story you'd want to share with the world?